Following 2 weeks of fighting in Ukraine, 10 South African students are back home after a harrowing ordeal, fleeing a war-torn country. They arrived at OR Tambo International Airport today. 13 more students are expected to arrive at the weekend. Heidi Giokos caught up with some of them. She joins us now live. So Heidi, escaping war, I can only imagine what these students have actually gone through, but you managed to speak to them. What do they say?
Yes, indeed, Sean. We managed to only speak to one of the students, 25 years old, studying medicine, managed to get onto a flight from Poland to Paris. So she fled Ukraine, got into Poland, from Poland to Paris, and then into South Africa. The plane landed at 11 o'clock this morning. We do understand 10 South African students managed to leave. This was between a partnership between Aspen and the Department of International Relations. It's been really tough for them. This student says she doesn't really want to go into the details of things, but she's extremely traumatized, and she's also calling on global leaders to help with regards to what's actually going on in Ukraine. She explained how there is really war going on, and she heard bombs going off almost every 5 minutes, people dying in front of her, and all she wanted to do was escape. She didn't want to go into details with regards to how difficult it was to actually get to the Ukrainian border and then flee into neighboring countries because of the kind of treatment that many South Africans were subjected to at these borders. So she's just saying she's happy to be back home, but it's going to be a long road until she overcomes what she experienced in Ukraine. Let's listen to what she had to say.
I don't want to talk about that right now. I feel like I was still traumatized by the whole experience. I don't want to live that form of trauma. Those are not the questions I'm interested in. What I'm interested in is how can South Africa help Ukraine at this form of a crisis? How do we help the people there? Because people are being killed. I know people who have been killed, people who are targeted. It is a very serious situation. How can we help bring peace in that land? I'm not interested in answering questions, just so everyone knows about my trauma, what has happened, what I experienced, what was it like. I don't want to talk about that. I want to talk about how can South Africa help Ukrainians become, or like Ukraine, become a place of safety at this moment. But thank you guys so much. I just want to go home. Thank you.
She really took charge of the narrative she wants to put out there, right? Because she's all about that messaging. How can we help Ukraine as South Africa? It's a message our government needs to actually get right. So interesting, though, that some people are actually choosing to stay in Ukraine.
Yes, so what the Department of International Relations has told us is that some people have actually opted to stay while others are in desperate need of help from the South African government, because it's very difficult for them. Sometimes they just don't have the means to get to neighboring countries. They need the help of the ambassadors, but they also don't have the financial means, because you have many who are studying in Ukraine and are in the middle of their studies, so it becomes very difficult for them to be able to just flee Ukraine. But the Department of International Relations has given an option to especially South African students who don't have the means to say, come back home, we can provide a solution for you. But some have opted not to come back. They want to stay in Ukraine for whatever reason it might be. Many are suspecting it could be because they are nearing the end of their studies, and it might be very difficult and complicated should they need to come back and they are unable to complete their studies here. Others might have families, others might have businesses there, but the Department of International Relations is providing a solution for those who want to come back. Let's listen to Clayson Monyela from DIRCO.
Getting people out of a conflict zone was always going to be difficult, but our ambassador on the ground, Ambassador Andre Groenewald, and his team worked tirelessly to ensure that South Africans got out of harm's way and were helped to cross into neighboring countries like Hungary, Poland, Romania, Slovakia, and from there we've been able to get the support of companies like Aspen to buy flight tickets and bring our nationals home. So we're quite grateful that this has happened. It's ongoing work because we still have people out there, but I mean, with the students, I can confirm that all tickets have been bought through the support of Aspen, and we're just working to ensure that they come home. There are one or two South Africans that have decided to stay in Ukraine. I mean, there's a pastor, if I can tell you, give two examples. There's a pastor that's running an orphanage. She decided to stay because she can't leave her children. But overall, we're grateful that we're able to, receive our nationals back home and they're safe.
And Heidi, another big concern is students nearing the end of their studies and now having to come back home. What happens?
Yes, certainly. So I think this is something that the South African government will need to focus on and look into, especially because you have many medical students who are nearing the end of their studies. Many of them were in their, doing their practicals in Ukraine, and nobody knows how long this war is going to go on for. So it's going to be very difficult for them to say, well, we'll just wait it out and go back when things go back to normal. Nobody knows when things are going to go back to normal. And when you're in your last couple of months of your studies, it becomes very complicated. So, of course, Aspen, in partnership with the Department of International Relations, is trying to provide counselling for these students who have been stuck and have come back and are still planning to come back, and also to have a discussion with the universities here in South Africa to say, how can we assist these students? Let's listen to Aspen's Stavro Nicolaou on this.
We're not, as Aspen, covering the direct contact with the students. We obviously have contact with them when they're back home. But to our best understanding, there are 25 students that are still stranded in neighbouring countries, neighbouring countries being Romania, Hungary and Poland. And I think there might be a student in Slovakia as well. So those 25 students are the ones that we are looking to bring back home. The first 10 have arrived, so we're 40% of the way there. We're expecting another 13 to arrive on the weekend or on Monday. The 2 that won't arrive then are only not going to arrive because they tested COVID positive. So as soon as they're able to travel freely again, then we will ensure that those remaining 2 of the 25 come back home as well.
All right, we're going to leave it right there. Heidi Giokos following that story for us.